Welcome back to Close Up on San Diego Business, where we get up close and personal with San Diego businesses and the key people that are working hard to make a difference in our community. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here on KFSD AM 1450 and financialnewsandtalk.com. Okay, we're back, and we are fortunate to have what I call one of our legends in San Diego business with us today. Welcome, Doug Austin from AVRP Studios.
Well, thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Great. So tell us a little bit about AVRP. How long have you been doing this? And tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, we've been doing it for a while. I actually started out of my condo about 35 years ago. And we call ourselves now AVRP Studios. And it's because we organized ourselves into studios with special expertises in various areas.
Wow. So what type of specialties do you have? Tell us a little bit.
One of the ones that we're known for quite a bit is urban projects, urban infill projects. A lot of the high-rises you see downtown are projects that our firm has worked on and we've designed. The museum tower for it's by the Linear Park is one that's one of the taller buildings, so people tend to see that as what we do. But we do a lot of things. We do healthcare. We did the new Sharp Health Clinic downtown up on 4th and Grape. We also do a lot of corporate work. Microsoft, Nokia, Google have been clients of ours. And we do campus communities. So schools like Coronado High School. We're now working with the Unified School District of San Diego. And we did the Price Center at UCSD. So those are some of the things we do. We also do single-family homes from time to time.
Do you have a favorite specialty?
No, it's really just the excitement of designing a project. And when you get great clients that really want something special, it doesn't really matter if it's a high-rise or a house. In fact, some of the projects we've gotten most press on have been some of our smallest projects. And it's because they've been more creative or there's been something of human interest in them.
Wow. So let's see, single-family homes. You do some corporate work too, don't you?
We do. Yeah, Chris Viam heads up that studio for us. And as I said, we've had big national and international clients as well as local clients. But one of the specialties there is this multi-generational. There's a new way that people do business, and people that are in their 20s, people that are in their 30s or 40s have different expectations and different interests than people in their 50s and 60s, the baby boomers. And Chris is the expert in our office. I don't pretend to be that expert, but he has really made himself a student of that, and that's what kind of separates those designs that we've done. Red Door Interactive is one of the new ones we did down by the ballpark, and it's one that when people see, they go, wow, this would be a fun place.
Wow.
How exciting to get to drive around San Diego and see your vision come to life in finished form for all of eternity, unless we have an earthquake and it crumbles, which it won't because you're masters of design and engineering.
We hope they'll stay around for a long time.
Exactly.
We build them well, and it is fun. I have to admit, one of the most exciting things is watching something start from just an idea and then be able to watch people live their lives in these buildings. You know, these are machines for living in a sense. If you take the Beth Israel Synagogue, I've been there not only for worship services, but I've watched people get married there, people get buried there, and so you see a lot of emotion pour out. And it's always nice to get the reaction of the people that have attended there.
Yeah.
Wow. So you do a lot of real estate development work. You did the Beth Israel Tower. I see you did the towers down at Park Laurel.
Yes, Park Laurel was one of our first, and it's one that was special in a certain way. If you look at that project, most of the high-rise condominiums or apartments downtown are fairly small. The average size of Park Laurel is about 3,300 square feet.
Ooh,
so
wow.
There's hardly any circulation space except in the grand areas on the first floor. You go into an elevator, you come right out into your suite, and there's 4 units on each building, so each one has a corner view.
Oh, amazing. That's kind of like New York City, or what I would expect, to be like there versus here. So you're really bringing some innovation.
Well, it is interesting to see how much San Diego has grabbed on to downtown living. When it first came around, which wasn't that long ago, when it really caught on, I would say. And people thought, well, it's California living, they're going to want to live in the burbs. And no, it's amazing because the lifestyle, it's all about lifestyle, creating a great lifestyle. So the amenities can be as important as creating a great unit. So one of the great amenities we have is just walking around downtown.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Restaurants, what have you.
Yeah. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KFSD AM 1450 and financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with my co-hosts Andrea Kay and Al Arias, and our guest, Douglas Austin from AVRP Studios.
There's a lot of interior design and architectural firms in San Diego. What do you think's been the key to your success? Why you're still at the top of your field 35 years later?
One of the things we take as very, very important is listening to our clients, and then innovation. And it's an innovation that will work and help that client get further along. If you can take an environment and help make that environment more productive if you're in a workplace, or make a place of worship seem more holy, more spiritual, more magical, that's something that is fun to do, and we create it with our clients. We have a very interactive process where we go through what we call a charrette process, where the design team involves the client. We'll sit down with them and go through a number of different ideas so that we get to the best ones. And sometimes it's that breakthrough idea that came from left field, and I'll tell you that specifically when I chaired the ballpark and ballpark district design and construction task force, and we were sitting there with Larry Lucchino and Eric Judson trying to figure out how do we make this place about San Diego. That was really important to Larry and to John Morris.
Right.
And it wasn't one of the architects sitting at the table that came up with, it should be like a park. It's Balboa Park. And then Larry Lucchino jumped in and said, that's it, the park at the park. And now you see it, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I like that. We usually have to start pulling some of these stories out of our guests, but now we've got Larry Lucchino on show, and
yeah.
So
Lucchino is really visionary. How many times has he done it? At least 3.
Yeah,
maybe more.
Is he off in Chicago now? Because I know
he's
he went
in
to Boston.
Oh,
he stayed. Okay.
I got to tell you one funny story.
Great.
Because he was educating us, and he was really largely responsible for the change in the ballpark feel, getting it more quirky, more personal. Back to sort of that old feel that you used to have. And I was sitting at the table and I'm looking away from him, and we're so used to Qualcomm Stadium. So I called the new ballpark a stadium, and this plastic water bottle bounces off my head. He goes, it's a ballpark. And I never forgot it after that.
Yeah, just be thankful for plastic. That's all I can tell you.
I have a bunch of friends from San Francisco.
Yeah.
And if you've been there, AT&T Park, it's really a beautiful park.
Yeah.
They like Petco better.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm pretty shocked.
Well, that's one of the
awesome.
things you kept saying. It's got to be quirky. We got to keep that old building out for the left field. And it's...
It really is a magical place. And I'm not a huge baseball gal. I'm all about my NFL and my college football. But I love, love, love Petco Park. There's got to be some challenges, though, when you sit down. I'm wondering if some of these corporate clients and even healthcare and even like a synagogue, have you had those times where you're sitting around with people and everybody's just butting heads and you're fighting to get a consensus? How do you manage that?
Yeah, that's a good question. But it's something I think we do well. We basically try to listen to everybody so you don't cut people off. And then we look at where their values are and try together to pick up what are the best ideas, where we have common ground. One of the things they'll do is you'll put all this list up, and then we'll give everybody 3 dots. And if there's 50 people in the crowd, say put those dots on the 3 most important items you have. Some people will put all 3 dots on one item, but pretty soon you see a trend. And while you have to be careful that you're not designing a camel that's designed by committee, what you are doing is getting very, very valuable information so you can design a better facility that's going to stand the test of time and really respond to their needs.
So you have to be almost business consultant and creative artistic genius at the same time.
They discern.
Yeah.
They discern.
Ooh, good word.
It's funny. When I grew up, I was thinking of becoming an when I became an architect, I thought, gee, it would have been better if my dad hadn't just been a chaplain in the Navy. If he'd been in business, I would have more contacts. But he gave me the best value of all because he had people insights, and it's a people business.
Yeah.
Although you're still doing some amazing innovation. You've got a new way to build high rises?
Yes, this is something that's one of the most exciting things that I'm personally involved with, where because we've built so many high rises downtown, it's been frustrating to see how expensive they are and how long they take to build. And so many times what happens is an investor will miss a market because it's hot now, but by the time he gets it done, it's not hot. It'll sit there for a while. Plus, it makes it tough on the consumer. It just makes it more expensive. And if somebody wants to buy a condo, he has to wait too long, or if it's an apartment, whatever. So what this does is it combines what we already know, some of the proven systems, with what we're learning about in manufactured housing, and marries them together. It's not purely modular like they're doing in New York. So it actually ends up having more flexibility, more applicability to what we're doing here. So you can make a unit theoretically infinitely wide, but what we're doing is saving probably 15 to 20% in terms of the raw cost of that building, which then is added on with soft cost, and we're saving anywhere from 20 to 30% time.
Wow.
Our goal as we go forward with this is to keep driving that number down, so that my real goal is to do it half the time, half the cost. Haven't got there yet, but that's
an aggressive goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, that's. I have to imagine that you have a lot of people watching what you're doing around the country to tap into some of this.
Yes, we do, and we're about to take off on our first prototype building. We've got two that are lined up right now that are high rises, both of them 23 stories, one in town and one in Northern California. But we're going to start with a small prototype in East Village.
What percentage of your work is out of San Diego?
Well, I haven't looked at it recently, and it varies depending on given markets. There's probably about 25% of it that's out of the San Diego region. We do work as far away as the Middle East and the Far East. But most of it's in our backyard, Southern California.
The communication problem must be massive.
Well, it's not as bad as it used to be. and we team up with local architects when we do this, but with all the modern communication techniques, it's amazing. We have offices in Vancouver, and right now we're doing a school downtown, and they're doing part of the drawings, we're doing part of the drawings.
Well, Doug, we're starting to run out of time, so before we go, tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you, how they can find more information about your company.
Sure. Well, you can go online, and it's just avrpstudios.com, or our phone number is 619-704-2700.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us. This has been fabulous. Yeah. So you're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business, where we get up close and personal with homegrown San Diego businesses and the people that are working to make a difference in our community. This is financialnewsandtalk.com. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back after the break with more homegrown business Close Up and our final guest of the day, Bill Hammett from Hammett Health Insurance Services.